EBIT Associates called us about a deal mid last year about a company that was for sale. It fit our criteria. The guys there know what we're looking for. They called us up and said, here's a great opportunity, you should look at it. Because I respect those guys, we did look at it, and it turned into a transaction for us that we closed in December of 2010. The guys at EBIT Associates knew the company, knew what we were looking for, knew there could be a good fit between the management team and the buyer, which was us, and they did a good job brokering that marriage, helping them see the issues that were important to us, and the issues that were important to us they were able to present to the management team, and that's the nature of making a good marriage. I think one thing that makes EBIT attractive as an intermediary for us is we've been working with them for a long period of time, and so we've talked on and off about different transactions, different deals, and knowing the type of transaction that we're looking for is important to us because it's often hard to describe in detail. It's kind of like you know it when you see it, and therefore if you've been working with an intermediary for a long period of time, he has a much better radar in terms of what's important to us, what could be a good fit, and what could make a good deal, and more importantly, what can actually close, what can actually get done, and understanding where we can't waste our time because this is an issue we can't solve, or it's too difficult to get done, or it's something that is just the buyer and the seller expectations will just never meet in the middle. And so having that judgment and that experience is really what makes a good investment banker. Your reputation in this business is everything. And so having a good intermediary like EBITDA is very important to us, so we spend a lot of time making sure that when they call with basically just a 2-second phone call saying, hey Lou, I think you should look at this, that's important to us because that's an intermediary that we really respect, and we will look at that. Experience is really the name of the game, so to the extent that we've worked with EBIT on a number of transactions, they have the experience working through a lot of issues. That is really, at the end of the day, that's the thing that differentiates an experienced investment banker from one that's not so experienced. So we would very much prefer to work with someone who has a lot of experience in the space, so it can be more efficient to figure out if we can get a transaction done one way or the other. The people are real, and they're not phony to some extent. They have a good picture of what their client is, both the good and the bad. They are able to be objective about what the situation is that we're both facing, and I think they're able to play an intermediary role between what the buyer is telling the seller and what the seller is telling the buyer. And sometimes that needs some interpretation in terms of, well, here's what they said, but here's really what's important to them from one side or the other. And again, the more experience you have of making those conversations clearer to both buyer and seller, the more likelihood that you're able to get a transaction closed. And at the end of the day, that's the thing that tends to be most important to both the buyer and the seller. Are we wasting our time, or are we actually going to try and get something done? And that's important to have someone with the experience of EBIT in your corner to help you figure out which way you're going to go.